Oh, we'll start. This is the second start. It's a restart, everybody. Recruiting animal here on February 1st, 2023. When I was a little boy, I thought it was February. I didn't realize it was February, but I wasn't so stupid that I said library like half the kids in my class did when I was in grade 2. Library. Did they say that in your class, Rich?
I said library.
Well, he had smarter. What about you, David M. Marr?
I had some,
Library or library?
I had people that said library, but there was also library.
Oh, I was a library guy. You see, but that made me think I was smarter than I really am. I was with a bunch of dummies, and just because I knew how to say a simple word, I said, geez, I'm something, aren't I? And I'm not, okay? I'm ready to admit it. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to continue my theme from last week. I hope it doesn't scare him away. But Rich Rosen made some pretty powerful remarks on Facebook and on LinkedIn this week. So I copied them, and he's going to have to answer to them. Okay. But should I do some warm-up questions first, or should I just go to get rich? Okay.
I think he's a pro. I think you should go straight for the hard right and center.
There you go. Whatever comes out, comes out.
Okay. Well, let me just see the part where you talk about how awful January is. Okay.
That was good, wasn't it?
January is awful. It's a never-ending circus of stupidity. Those are his words, okay? Never-ending circus of stupidity. Okay, do you want to say why, or should I read it?
I can tell you why. Because
go ahead.
It's the same. Again, it's in the context of working in the startup world. Every company sits there and tries to use their internal recruiters, which some are great. Some are not.
David M. Marr, is he backing away now from the mic so we can barely hear him?
Yeah, it sounds like he's a little bit faded.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Rich. Just move a little closer, okay?
Oh, all right. Hang on. How's this? I don't know what's my mic.
There you go. Thank you.
There we go. All right. Fine. To be right next to the mic now. No, I think January is always crazy. January, February in the startup world, everyone is finishing year end. Everyone's like a lot of year ends and January 31st in my world. A lot of companies that have sales kickoff in February. A lot of you got a lot of companies trying to use internal recruiters and avoid paying fees, which I get.
It's you know what? I know he's mumbling. He's afraid we're going to catch him. Well, this is what I said. Okay, here's what he said. They try to use internal recruiters. They try to replace geniuses like him who cost them money with the people they're already paying, and they don't succeed. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Rosen?
On startups, oftentimes by March, the managers are tired of not getting good candidates. They're tired of seeing garbage.
Why is it that when they lean on their own internal staff, they see garbage, and it takes them a few months to come to their senses? Because that's what you're saying, isn't it?
A lot of them, yeah. Because the majority of internal recruiters, just quite frankly, like the majority of external recruiters, they don't actually go out and hunt. They post jobs and they call the masses that just come to them, which are generally not the best people.
They don't hunt. Okay, David M. Marr, you are a corporate recruiter. He just called you a stupid idiot, okay? An incompetent. Mind you, he's not in a startup.
Come on.
He's not in a startup. He's not in a startup. Do you want to comment on that, David M. Marr? He qualified it. It's just startup.
I think what he's describing would summarize people that have like a HR generalist backgrounds, but I know people that are just as sophisticated on the internal side as external search specialists.
100%.
Past.
Yeah, that again.
Say that
don't take animals' rephrasing of my words. That's not what I said.
Never-ending circus of stupidity. Okay, I didn't make that up. I like it.
As I said, both internal and external recruiters that do the same stupid thing, which David, I'm sure you will agree. And it's not just the HR recruiter people. It's actual talent acquisition people. Oftentimes, they don't go out and secure their own leads. They post a job and then they think they're busy and productive by just calling through the 5,000 idiots that applied that have nothing to do with their job. But hey, they sent their resume in, so let me shuffle papers and look through them.
Yeah, the hunting part, I would definitely say there are there are recruiters I've worked with that do that, but usually most folks that have, I would say, 7+ years of experience, if they've worked in places that have good training and with talented folks, they usually either phase themselves out of the industry or continue on and get better.
Okay, here he gives us an example of what's gone wrong. He lost two. I would blow my brains out if this happened to me. Okay, he lost 2 placements because the candidates were too good. I couldn't believe it. They were too good. They were too good. That's what they told you, right?
Yeah, they thought they would be overpowering, not in a personality way. They thought they'd just be overpowering in general for a new young manager.
So the manager was a junior guy in a startup, maybe somebody's brother or friend.
No, he got promoted. He was a good rep who got promoted up the ranks.
Okay, and so he can't handle another senior sales rep under him. They need a junior one who's just happy to be there or something like that.
It's a fast growth company. It's a fairly established startup, and they.
But let's turn this on Richie Rich. Okay, how come you didn't know that?
What do you mean?
How come you didn't know that?
Oh my God, David, how do you not know everything your clients are going to pull out?
Okay, Gavin's not here.
I hire psychics.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Gavin says, okay. Gavin says, he says you can't overestimate the importance of the intake. He says the quality of the intake will determine how easy it is to fill the role. Insist on 1 hour. Okay. Obviously, you didn't ease it out of this guy to say, I want someone who's dumber.
It was my fault for not talking to the entire string of 30 different hiring managers across the country we're working with at this company.
Yeah, well, he didn't say, hey, do you want someone dumber than you? Do you want someone who is not as...
Let me put that. I'm going to put that down on my list of questions. Do you want...
Yeah, obviously it's an important question.
Because
okay.
All good managers want people that are dumber than they are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the sign of a good leader. We all want dumber people, right? Right on cue, Ernie. Perfect.
That happened last week too. You said recruiters are lazy, and who shows up? Michael G. Cox, right at the perfect time. He's got the magic touch, everybody. I sympathize with him, and I'm going to say it's the stupid hiring manager. Okay, Rich is a genius. Okay, I don't want him to get the wrong idea.
Why does he call everybody lazy though, man? Come on.
But he's got to be tested here, and that's what I'm doing it. But in the end, I walk away blaming the hiring manager. That's what I would kill myself if I worked hard to find great people and they tossed them out for that reason. Okay.
Dude, I mean, honestly, I had another client where they also in January, they ended up pulling the because the basically the CEO lost faith in his regional VP. And so he pulled 3 roles. They all had at offer stage because the lady couldn't decide, hey, what does she really want? And the guy's like, dude, this is like a key hire. And he basically, I think she's going to end up getting fired now personally. So I'll get to replace her, which is a good thing. So, but I mean, literally, I lost like $200,000 in January because of stupidity.
Oh, did you hear that? MarioTheRecruiter.com?
Yeah, that's painful, Rich.
Yeah,
I get the I get the feeling. I know the feeling. Trust me.
Yeah.
It happens.
Okay, Mr. Purple's got to raise his hand. FoodIndustryRecruiter.com. Right. Yeah. And then I already said MarioTheRecruiter.com when he appeared. Yep. Rich didn't call your name. He didn't say you were lazy or stupid. Okay. So you should congratulate yourself. Feel good about it. But here's what Rich did say. Okay. Rich said, I posted something. How do you build trust with a new company? So Rich said, and this is a quote, okay? It's amazing.
They're stupid. He said they're stupid.
It's amazing how being real builds trust and long-lasting relationships, okay?
That's so sensitive.
But okay, we know that what he's told us before, you got to talk about the pain points, your daughter's in university and Gavalt, whatever's going on.
Give him a hug. Give him a hug.
This is a new prospect. You don't know about his kids yet, Richie Rich, or do you?
You talk about this. don't you ever have like a conversation like where you're not breathing commission? You're just like, you just shoot the shit with people. You have
New
No, he
people,
doesn't. No, he
people you
doesn't.
don't know.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what you should be doing. You're supposed to be a nice Canadian.
I'm
know?
not good with strangers. Okay, I'm not.
You picked the right profession then.
People would testify, and he's an idiot. We went for coffee, and he was a jerk, right? Okay,
Come on,
I
man.
am.
You
That's
can't
why
be
I'm
that
here.
bad,
Okay,
Animal.
You
and
don't have
people
to
never
love
stop
everyone.
telling me what.
Listen, you don't have to love everyone. You just have to be able to, work with them. And listen, you
I'm
size
not a
them up.
good small talker. Okay, I just don't know anything about it.
Well,
Ask
you
him
just-
questions.
that's like the art of this business is small talk of just
Ask
Yeah.
questions.
honestly, whatever's on your mind, you just talk about. Who cares? You're
What's the
pissed
weather like in
Exactly.
Canada?
Animal, that shouldn't be that
That's
difficult
great,
for you,
Brian.
especially.
Yes, it is difficult for me. I like to talk about what the audience is interested in, what the other person is interested in. I don't know if they're
Animal
interested in
reminds
the
me
same
of these radio commentators, the old school guys.
No, I don't.
No, you remind me of that. That doesn't mean you are that. But
Okay, but wait a second. Let's pin Rich down. Okay, he's got a prospect, someone he doesn't know, and he says, just chat with them. What does it mean? Like, hey, Ed, did you see Bobby Hull died the other day? And he's a great hockey player,
No.
but he beat all of his wives. Okay, one of them he hung over the balcony by her shoes. Okay,
Maybe she
Rich
deserved
starts
it.
out with, "What are you wearing?"
Yeah. You're wearing that.
David M Marr and foodindustryrecruiter.com know about that because he played for the Chicago Blackhawks, right? Bobby Hull. Does everybody know who Bobby Hull was? He died this week.
He died.
He died, but he was a real nasty piece of work. Okay, great
Yeah.
hockey player, nasty piece of work. Okay, and Rich, is that what you would say? Hey,
Yeah, but,
Eddie,
like,
did you-
if you're talking like this morning, you're on the phone. It's like, oh my God, Tom Brady retired. Just bring stupid stuff up out of the blue.
At what point you say, hi, Mary, my name's Richie Rich Rosen, and I'm a fantastic recruiter in your niche, and I'd like to do some work with you. And in fact, I've got a really great candidate I'd like to tell you about. But by the way, did you hear about Bobby Hall? Is that
Animal, I'm pretty sure the calls don't go like that.
I want to know how they went. I want to copy him. Tell me.
He says, "Anybody died this week that you know?"
Yeah, really? Anyone you know died? I mean, what'd you
So,
have
Rich,
left?
on the first prospecting call, how do you build rapport? By being real, like you said. Want me to repeat what you said? Am I beating this to death? It's amazing how being real builds trust and lasting relationships. I want to know on the first contact.
You got it. It all depends on the conversation. If you get a guy that's super straight laced, yeah, you're just gonna stick to this.
Not one example. Okay, I want you to think about that in the coming weeks. Okay,
Listen,
I want you to
listen.
think about it, and then.
Oh my God! If you want an answer, you got to listen.
Okay, go ahead.
He's stressing out. He's stressing out. He has no answer. Buying time. Buying time.
But if it depends who you're talking to. Like, I've got a client. Like, it was first time I talked to the guy. He was a big hunter, and he was a big football guy. He played football in college. You have the conversation, and somehow things just work themselves into it. If all of a sudden you get a quick text or an email about something, it's amazing how you can build rapport just by bitching about your spouse or bitching about the Patriots or whoever.
What if you don't know your spouse?
It doesn't matter. Make it up. Who cares?
I got in trouble this morning for using the URL bitchfest.ca for this show. Everybody thinks
Well,
it's
now,
terrible.
which social justice warrior came after you now?
Yeah.
my friend?
Everybody! Oh, it's terrible.
They're morons.
Oh, Lord.
Send them my way.
Okay,
I'll tackle them.
Just Rich, I just want to point this out, and I'm going to go to the other people here for an example. Okay. But Rich keeps saying stuff that comes after the fact, right? Oh, I know he's a big hunter. I know he's a football
but
fan.
it's-
Okay, you don't know that on the first call, Richie
But you
Rich.
might. But again, rapport doesn't always happen on the first call. It could be the second call. Your statement wasn't about the first call.
How do you build
about-
trust with a new company?
Yeah, well, exactly. New company.
You know what? I'm
New
not a
company-
lawyer
no,
like
new
Rich.
company
I
doesn't
see
mean-
what it's a new
company doesn't
client.
mean it's the one call. New
For me,
company. Listen.
Okay.
Like on the first date, you're not getting married, right? You don't just open the kimono and say, "Hey, here's everything."
Depends on what culture you're from.
This is
Oh,
true.
yeah.
No matter what culture you're from, you don't do that.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea.
Okay, okay. So does anybody else want to say how they build rapport on that first call, the first contact?
I think the thing that Rich does that's good is the fact that when you call, it could be a president, it could be a vice president, it can be a hot shot. You talk to them like they're the regular Joe down the street, the regular Jane down the street. And you don't lift them up like they're, oh, can I please talk to you? Please give me a few minutes. No, it's like, hey, dude, what's happening? Hey, gal, what's happening? And then you just,
On point.
because everybody's always kissing their butts.
And we, you know, a good way you can build rapport, even on the first call without knowing anything, is you try to just bring some education to them. You're trying to, like, salespeople should be teachers. You're showing, you're not going in there trying to sell everything.
You got to speak up.
Is this not working again?
No, just come closer. It's working.
I'm like
Just come
literally a
closer.
foot from the. I'm like the mic is literally like right.
You got to put it in your mouth, Rich.
Apparently so.
Jesus Christ.
I haven't had lunch yet. So you know.
That's a good
But
one.
The but you know, at the end of the day is, I mean, you're, as a salesperson, you want to educate. You want to be able to, you know, teach them something. I mean, that's what you're valuable for. You want to be able to talk to them about
What can you teach them?
about the industry, the market, what their perception of the market is, and what reality.
Well, give us an example. Give me a concrete example.
Like comps, like, hey, you know, what are you looking to pay for this role? And then they're going to say, oh, we want to pay 120, and I'll say that's fucking stupid. You know, what a waste of time this is going to be. You're going to get dregs. You know, it's like listen. I mean, if you really want to work on it, if you really want the search to get done and get it done right, this is what the market rates are. This is what you're going to get for 120 grand. This is what you're going to get for 150 grand. So I get for 200 grand. You know, you want to give them a little bit of insight that you're supposed to be an industry expert. So be the expert.
You know, one of the things too is the fact that you got to listen.
Yeah.
And you listen right at the beginning for the tone.
Yep.
If the tone is like, oh yeah, what do you want? What can I do? Then it's not the good time to start breaking bread.
Exactly. Some people just, you got 30 seconds to right to it, and that's it. Other people, they're a little bit more jovial. Other people, you know, maybe you looked on LinkedIn, you know, the guy was, you know, he's a 6'10" football player or something. You kind of know what they're going to be about or potentially about. And, you know, you can probably talk sports with them if they were like an NCAA athlete, you know, so you really get a sense of what people are like from that first part of the call. Then you got to be an active listener. You can't go in with a preconceived notion of this is the path I'm going down. You got to be, you know, be able to pivot and say, hey, this is what this guy's into. This is what he's not into. This is what he's all about. You know?
I think you also got to ask really good questions. And like Ernie said, wait and listen.
Yep. Yeah.
Mario?
Yeah, I'm sorry for interrupting. Before I forget,
You're not sorry. Don't be sorry. This is a
Mario,
business.
Mario,
you gotta listen, Mario. Listen.
Yeah.
Pay attention, Mario. It's expensive.
that's the problem. I don't listen much. Okay, I'm a bad listener. Okay, listen. Does anyone use voicemail drops by any chance? Okay, Rich. Crelate has this. You use Ring Central, right?
Yeah.
There's a tool called Auto Reach. Okay, that works with Ring Central. Okay, I'm using it. I'm changing my phone system to dial pad to work with that tool. That does voicemail drops as well as auto dialing for you.
Does it?
You might want to look it up.
And it's built into, like, it's going to work with because most of those they were a pain.
It will work with Ring Central, not with Crelate.
Yeah, but if it doesn't tie into Crelate, I don't want to deal with it because I still have to go back to Crelate. Usually there's a weird pause, you know, between the time they pick up and the time, you know, between you dial and there's a pickup, or if there's a switch over to a live call because someone answers. I hate those calls. I absolutely hate them. They've gotten better. I mean, maybe this one's a good one, but most of the ones I've seen.
Yeah, that's the reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah,
but
Mario, I'm going to teach you something right now. When we're in the middle of a conversation about building rapport, okay,
Jesus.
You want to start talking? I got something important to say.
That's
You start
what
talking
I
about
wanted to
something
talk
else,
about. I wanted to just mention it before I forget.
You won't forget. It's been nuts. You
I
talked about it
forget
last
everything.
time you were here, okay?
Jesus, I forget everything.
I don't mind talking. You could talk for 10 minutes about it, but I want to find out about building rapport, but maybe he's
Go back to topic. Go back to topic.
No, okay. That's it. Is there any, so do people understand what Mario was asking? Rich uses Ring Central. He loves it. He pays $400 a year for it, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I love it, but it's built into Crelate, so
He loves it. He loves it.
I sounded to me like you loved it. And so I got Ernie on my side, okay?
I listened to him and I heard his voice and he loved it.
What is a voicemail drop? Oh, you
Voicemail
press the
got it.
button
And
and
now
you
you're, now you're going into his
No,
topic.
it's
Now
like-
you're going in, after you
Oh,
yell
well,
at
I'll
him. you're
finish
going
it
into
off.
his
He's got
topic.
you've got a pre-recorded voicemail, and you just press
Yeah.
the button, and
Goes
it
straight
goes
to
in
voice-
there.
It goes straight
Yeah.
to the voicemail box and bypasses the call part.
No,
Oh,
no, no,
really?
it doesn't go. No, it doesn't bypass the call part. This part, only if you're on the call and it goes into the voicemail, you implement it.
Yeah.
It's not like
okay.
those mass voicemail drop tools.
So what it does is you call them
Hmm.
and they pick it up, you talk to them. If they don't
Yeah.
pick it up,
Press
it'll
the
drop
button, it goes in.
automatically. It's like a template that goes into their voicemail.
Rich,
Yeah.
if your technology would integrate with that, would you use it?
It depends.
Rich, just check it out. It's auto reach. It's not gonna hurt you.
Rich,
Yeah, no,
check
if
it
it's-
out,
if-
Rich. Don't even say nothing. Just check it out.
I'm ready to roll. I think Outplay actually has that built into it. To be honest.
Yeah, but that's crap.
Is it? I don't use them because I mean, the end of the day, if I've got to look at two different places to go through my calls, or if that thing's running a list and it's not through my database and it's not in the same order, it's
You're
a pain
talking
in the-
about something else. I asked you a
Yes.
clear question. Would you use it if the technology integration
Oh
was
my god,
working?
dude.
If it worked and made you a lot of money, would you use it?
It should. It
listen,
should actually.
As I said, if it works in the same system where my list is in this order, and that and auto reach goes in the same exact order, so I don't have to go hunt and peck and see what.
Yeah,
who it's
but I mean, it
dialing.
would give the exact same message over and
No,
over again with no
What if they pick
variation.
up- and what if they pick up the phone?
Oh, it allows you. You get the
Rich, it-
chance.
You
Oh
don't
my
just
god,
send.
I understand, but I don't want to have to go find the person that's calling because it's not in the same order.
Does
Like,
it
if it's going,
cancel
like, one-
automatically
No,
if
no.
they answer the phone?
Say that again.
Okay, we're moving on.
Yeah.
Animals confused himself.
Okay, Okay. okay.
And how does
Rich
it work?
Rosen
with-
had a
how
he
does it
had a
work
lot
with
of
the
advice for hiring managers this week.
You like that one too? That was good.
I've got it in detail. We don't have to go through it. He said,
Listen, I posted that on LinkedIn too. It's all right.
yeah, hiring managers ignore the success a candidate has had. Instead, they worry about why people made moves in their careers, where the person is going to be in 5 years from now. And they think that the success the person had for the last 15 years was a fluke. You're describing an idiot, okay? Rich, okay?
Welcome to my month.
Okay, was that just that
Bad month, huh?
you've had a bad month and you're overgeneralizing about it? You know, is that
I
what
mean,
you're
it's
doing?
it's definitely an overgeneralization, but it's not.
It's not that much of an
Yeah,
overgeneralization.
it's really not that uncommon. I mean, I think so many hiring managers, especially in this economy, are hiring to save their own ass, more than hiring to improve their team in the company, which is counterproductive in many ways.
No.
But that's what they're doing. They're
What does
you're
it mean,
saying-
hire to
you're
save
saying-
their
you're
own?
saying
Go ahead,
people-
Ernie.
You're saying people do not hire people who are smarter than you. You know,
they
that
mean
like the
that.
old saying goes, hire somebody smarter than you. Is what
Yeah,
people
I mean,
say.
they're definitely not. They're definitely. The problem is, I think a lot of people, a lot of managers don't want to fight the battle to bring this person forward oftentimes because it's too much to explain. If someone has a bunch of moves literally because of COVID, people have forgotten about COVID and that everyone got wiped out. So people forget about COVID. They don't understand
You know-
startups that maybe they got acquired for the technology. Maybe they got
You-
acquired and, so you lost your job, maybe whatever.
You-
People
you know-
don't want to fight the next level. They want it to be an easy fit
You know-
because
you
they
know
don't want
what-
to take the risk.
You know what's crazy about it is when they do the interviews, right? It's like they have to talk to like 8 people.
Yep.
And then if all 8 don't love them,
Yep.
then you don't get hired.
Bingo.
That's
You
like
say
saying-
one wrong thing. 6
that's
hours
like-
of interviews. You say the
Yeah, that's
wrong
like
thing.
saying, let's go to the movies. What movie do we want to see?
Yeah.
With 8 people. You ain't going to the movies.
No. Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, that's why. I mean, hiring should be like, at least for sales, it should be the hiring manager, the sales engineer. Maybe the guy's boss or a peer. Other than that, who cares?
Can't the manager overrule the people who object?
Nope. I mean, it depends. I mean, there's never an absolute. Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. But again, if you overrule, now you're putting your neck on the line for this guy's success. No one wants to do that anymore.
Okay, but you
the
just
famous "We told you so."
you describe people who are, if someone made a move, they'd make no effort at all to see if it's justified. Just like
Yeah,
you.
I mean, I had a candidate. I literally, they're like, this guy, and this guy's a stud. He's at 6 years here, 3 years here, 3 years there. Even worked on straight commission for 3 years and crushed it. But they're like, well, that's too jumpy. The average
here,
rep lasts like 14 months.
You gave a list of reasons these people
I
leave, okay?
literally broke it down job by job and typed it all out for him.
I'm going to read your little list, okay? You say, is
Damn.
it the candidate's fault if they took a risk and the product failed? A company ran out of money. The technology got acquired by another company. There was a revolving door leadership. They lost their accounts and had to start from scratch with a higher quota. Do you come in with this information and you put it right in front of their faces and they still can't recognize it? Or do you hide it from them, Rich, and expect them to dig it out themselves?
It's depending on the client and the candidate. I put it right out there because I want surprises. They should know, and if they no one wants to be surprised. So if they know ahead of time, this is what happened. You know, a normal.
I don't know how Rich
manager,
could be so successful if he's dealing with this kind of
well, not
resistance.
everyone is this ridiculous, but this is a large part of what we deal with on a daily basis.
Ernie's
because
got the answer to the question.
There's so many managers that don't get it.
It's like you got to know the answers to what you expect to hear it to be the question. Like if you have a candidate that has those kind of situations where they've had short tenure, you should ask, tell me
It's a fair
why.
question to ask.
Yeah, what happened? How come you've only been there 10 years? I mean, 5 months and now you want to leave? What's going on?
Yeah, but honestly, like I have a guy that just called me today. He's a stud rep. His company got acquired. He's been there for 5 months, literally. Last company was there for a year, but it's a known dumpster fire. Great technology, a known hellhole.
The funny part is like in the old days, if you got laid off, I remember people saying, "Oh, you got laid off. What the hell?
Yeah.
It mustn't be any good." And now everybody gets laid off. Everybody gets downsized.
Yep.
And that's just the way it works. That's our life. And because of that, loyalty to a company is gone away because nobody expects to retire in a company. Yet companies are still thinking, why do you want to come work for us? It's not,
But there's no loyalty from companies anymore. I talked to a guy this morning, 5 years at Microsoft, crushed it every year. You got
laid
cut.
off.
Yeah. Did you read my article? I posted this other thing on LinkedIn a couple weeks ago. It had like a couple 100,000 views on it about the lack of loyalty.
I think Rich is coming out with a book on lack of
great.
loyalty.
Stop this recruiting stuff and make some real money.
Also,
Come on, Rich, you make real money in this recruiting business. Don't give us
first
that
of all,
crap.
I have more. Rich has more to say. Okay, I got all the stuff here, but we can move on from Rich. There's other people who talk as well.
It's like a therapy session for Rich today.
Seriously,
No,
I'll
it's
tell you,
for
it's been a
me.
month.
I read this stuff. Well, this one was just,
And
it's so
Rich,
hard
how-
to fathom. It's
Rich,
so
how does
hard
that make you feel? How does that make you feel?
We were there last week. Does anybody else want to tell Rich that, he's wrong, he's overdoing it, the hiring managers aren't as foolish as
I don't think he's wrong. I think it's like the feelings that do come out and that
Mario's going to take
it's all
him
part of
on.
learning.
I
It's
can
all
see
part of
that
learning,
smile
and
on
it's
his
all-
face, that wicked smile. Go ahead.
Animal, we don't need to go and tell anything to one of the masters about what they have
Oh,
to
I
do.
was gonna suck up.
Remember the point. The god of recruiting.
David M Marr, do you want to put him in his place? You're going to say, you know what, he's right.
Oh, I think there's a lot of truth to what he says.
Okay, there
Yeah.
you go. But yeah, okay. Also, Rich said, oh,
Can I
sorry, Ernie, go ahead.
mention something? Last time we talked about being an entrepreneur, and someone mentioned, well, not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. And I was thinking about that. And the question really becomes not wanting to be an entrepreneur, but the fact that what we were saying was we encourage you to try it. If you get downsized, give it a shot.
Yeah.
But a lot of us probably grew up where we didn't have people who were entrepreneurs or business owners or whatever. We had people who were employees. And
Not Mario, his father's a business person as well, right?
Yeah, but he never wanted me to get into business.
Oh,
Can you
okay.
imagine?
Hmm.
The
did you
childhood
want you to be a
trauma.
doctor or lawyer?
Oh, they tried to make me a doctor, an engineer, and look where I ended up. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I'd rather kill someone rather than save their lives.
Well, that's what I mean. You're either doctor, lawyer, engineer, or
Yeah, man, that's
That's what you-
crazy. That's crazy bullshit. Okay. Today there are social media people are making more money than doctors combined. I mean,
Well-
okay, even if you take the fact that it's only for a short span, they're raking in 6 to 7 million in a year.
Not so many
Okay.
people, okay?
Yeah, let's leave that. But generally, the average person's taking at least 100K a year. Look at the investment, the ROI.
I
Everything
don't know
is
what you're
ROI.
talking about. I'm moving on, okay? Rich
Right.
says, okay? He says sometimes the company sets the candidate up for failure. What does that mean? Can you handle this, Rich? Is it you feeling worn down or,
I don't know. He
I'm,
looks a
I'm
little-
multitasking here. I'm just getting back to our client. What is it? What's it mean with the
He's on
candidates
the
set
game.
up for failure?
Yeah, you said, when does it become the company's fault or the manager's fault for setting up people for failure? What does that mean? Setting them up for failure.
When you go to a company, like again, I deal with sales guys. They may go in, like I had an example years ago. Candidate, they hire this lady, great rep, bring her in, and the manager is supposed to be named accounts, so it's gonna have strategic, specific accounts. So the idiot manager is like, all right, all the reps in the team, give me the accounts you don't want anymore. All right. So basically, this lady got all the worst accounts, and these were dead accounts. There was a slim to none chance you'd be successful. You certainly wouldn't leave a job to call on, Joe's bait shop, with a multi-million-dollar quota. All right. So like that's setting up for failure. It's just a perfect example. That manager
Okay,
is
but
gonna be fired.
that's a fascinating example. I criticize you didn't have an
Please.
example. This is a fascinating example. But why didn't it come out in the
Because
interviews?
you don't often know what accounts you're going to have. So companies will generally wait to see who they're hiring, maybe who, a good manager is going to try to build a list that, maybe there's some accounts that aren't being well covered that they can give you, instead of just saying, here's these accounts, love them or hate them. Good managers are going to want to build around your strength. If you've got great access to American Express, then hell, let's get you American Express if no one's covering it or it's lightly covered.
Is anyone else shocked that, as he calls it, even though this was a woman, a stud candidate? I would get in trouble if anybody listened to this show. A stud candidate. Yeah. Okay. She's a terrific candidate. She gets hired and they set her up for failure. It's literally what they did. Is anybody else shocked that this didn't come out earlier? That even she couldn't, a great saleswoman couldn't drag this information out of them in advance?
Because it's very common.
It happens all the time.
You may not get your accounts until you're on board.
That sales group is a real crazy world.
Yeah, sales are unique.
Because you can be very successful. You can have your account. You can make a shitload of money, and then they come to you and say, "Now we're going to split your territory in half, and I'm going to give it to this guy who happens to be my cousin, and he's going to take that half."
Dude, I once lost a deal. I actually kid you not. I lost a deal. The client's like, "Your guy was great. I got to hire this other woman." The board member, said she looks better in a tight sweater. I literally, those were the exact words. I'll never forget it. That's why.
Jesus.
So that's why they hired her. The way we've lost deals over the years is mind.
And do you think he harassed her once she got into the job?
I have no idea. I dropped him as a client.
Okay.
That's the smartest thing to do.
Okay,
but this sales is unique. It's not like anything else. It's not like hiring an engineer or an accountant or something.
No, in the old days, you got into sales if you were in manufacturing.
But
because your father was in sales, and all of a sudden you got brought into sales because the boss was doing your dad a favor.
But there's one more thing to bring up, Rich. Isn't it easier to show the value of a good sales rep rather than the value of a good engineer or an accountant or a
it can be,
tech person?
but it's super subjective, because just because you have great numbers doesn't necessarily mean you are the great rep. It means you may have been on a great team. Just again, sales guys know each other, so you may show all these dynamite numbers, but if this guy's cousin knows you and didn't like you, well, hey, we probably don't like you either now.
And plus, you're dealing with a lot with startups, right?
Yeah, a lot with
Yeah,
startups.
the fact, if I came from a good company and a long established company,
Yeah.
and I go to a startup, one of the things they say, well, how will you be able to adjust?
Yeah, I know. And then think about it. If you're at a startup, who would you rather hire? The rep that sold $1 million for Joe Unknown company versus the rep that sold $1 million or $2 million for Salesforce?
And a lot of it has to do with the person who's the boss, who's doing the hiring, whether they understand that. Because really in sales, what you're hiring are connections, your book of business.
But to a point. But some companies don't want to hire guys that just have relationships. They don't trust them, or they feel they're going to run out after 30 days. So you need to hire the guy or girl that understands how to actually build, rapport, understands how to build and hunt.
But you translate that over into recruiting. You go work for another company as a recruiter, and so you're an agency recruiter. No company no company is loyal to our agency. They're loyal to the recruiter they're dealing with.
Exactly.
And they know that. And when somebody else hires them, it's because they have connections with different companies.
Yeah.
That are already established.
Yeah.
When I've recruited salespeople, it's pretty much a lot of times based upon their Rolodex and who they know.
Mhm.
It can, oftentimes it can be, and they have.
Mario wants to talk about technology. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
not
Go ahead.
technology. Rich, I have a question. Isn't it tougher for the sales? Wouldn't the company normally focus on the guy who has come from the small unknown company and sold $1 million than the guy who has come from Salesforce?
A startup should, but they often don't. They often
Okay,
look at this guy from Salesforce because, hey, they've got maybe more stability. They've got a built-in process. You know,
Right.
it's a bad way of looking at it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic. The startup definitely
Yeah.
doesn't have a process.
Yeah, I mean,
So
but
they
so they think the Salesforce guy or the Oracle guy is going to have all this great, stigma about them when they don't. They have all the support that makes them successful often.
Rich, when you're dealing with your startup companies, do you find a lot of the owners are very young and don't know the business?
Now, the average age is like, I think I saw is like in the mid-40s at this point. So they're not like kids.
Okay, so that means I have time also.
Yeah, I mean they are, but a lot of it they're very engineer driven. So you have engineer driven, you got finance driven, and then the good ones are the sales driven. You try to find the sales driven companies because the finance guys want to cut every penny and they shoot themselves in the foot. They'd rather spend an extra $20,000 looking for the right person that's going to save them $5,000. It makes no sense, but that's what they do. Then the engineering guys want to, everything's tech. We really don't need sales, but we're supposed to have it. VCs
Yeah.
are making us hire them, and they don't really appreciate them, so they don't last. Or they go to like a Snowflake or a Databricks, where it's all engineer driven, but you're going for a big equity play, and that's all you're going to make. You're really going to make money outside of equity.
And a lot of that, what you're saying, it really is the president of the company, the president's
Yeah,
background.
the CEO. Yeah, exactly. The Fed all come, like everything else, it all rolls downhill. So if that's the trend from the top, that's how it's going to be. So.
Okay, Rich has advice for candidates as well, right? He says, candidates, state your case on your resume. You say,
Rich, I have a question. Sorry, Animal. Rich, have you ever done sales recruiting
You
for a
weren't-
recruiting firm?
Mario, you weren't listening, Mario. You weren't
Go
listening.
ahead. You,
didn't
Mario,
listen.
go ahead.
Sorry, I
None of the
apologize.
No, there's no candidates listening to this anymore. You go ahead.
No. So, Rich, have you ever done recruiting for salespeople for recruiting companies?
Yeah.
Ever had a chance to do that? No, never did that.
Recruiters don't pay enough. It's not worth it.
They're the worst candidates. Everybody,
Yeah,
I've
that's
seen it
true.
so many times.
That's 100% true.
They ghost you. They're unreliable.
Yeah.
And I know I run the
So-
Jobs for Recruiters group on Facebook. These recruiters are so stupid.
Thank you.
The thing is,
Oh, trust me, they're
I
stupid.
had to beg them. I said, if you're looking for a job, why don't you put a link to your LinkedIn profile and your posting? Absolutely not. Finally, after years, I said, look, I put it in the banner. You got to put it in, and they still do. But I said, I'm going to delete your posting until you put your LinkedIn. And that's what I do. I delete it.
Yeah.
Facebook sends them a message. This is what you did wrong. Repost with your LinkedIn post. That's the only way. I had to delete them. And otherwise, and when I put it in, they called me names and you're wrecking this group. I'm not kidding. And,
Hey,
and
you're the one of the group.
yeah,
Yeah,
and like I get paid for it. I get nothing, okay? And there's about 10,000 members. And the thing is, the people who are looking, they're advertising as well. I said, put a company link in or your LinkedIn. They were absolutely thought I was coming from another planet. I couldn't
It's like
couldn't believe it.
But what did they
same
put in?
idiots that don't put their location on resumes.
They just put looking for a job, remote,
Yeah.
minimum 100K salary.
And their phone number. Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, their phone
sometimes
number.
Yeah.
Not even the damn name.
that was a woman who did that, and I kept
Yeah.
asking her again and again. And she called me names, and finally she quit the group. Okay.
Good riddance for bad rubbish.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But here's you got advice. Rich tells the candidates, put it in your resume. Did your company get acquired for the technology? Did they pull out of the United States? Did they lose funding and go under? Lay out the facts of your success. What does that mean?
Lay out the facts for success. What do you mean?
Your success.
Yeah,
How did
well,
they?
put-
How do you
put your
show a
stats.
success? Like Mario said something a minute ago that I think is very relevant. He said it's easier to show that you're successful if you're a sales rep because you can give figures, right?
Yeah,
Whereas
quantify.
other
And the
jobs,
impact on
it's
the
not so.
organization.
It's
Yeah,
not
it
so
does,
easy.
but that's what you should do. You can show a quantifiable success. You know, I mean, I tell candidates all the time. I mean, you want to show what you sold, who you sold, and how you did. No one else cares about anything else in your resume.
What does how you did it mean in a sales
How you
situation?
did? You're against quota. How'd you do against your numbers?
Oh,
How did
okay.
you know, did you close the biggest deal? Were you a top
Ye-
20% rep, number one producer? I mean, made President's Club 5 out of 6 years. What'd you do?
Do they want to know what your sales philosophy or strategy is?
Not on a resume. Who cares? I mean, you can put medic or whatever it is, but I wouldn't like the less words, the better on a resume. People clutter
But-
these things up.
Rich, I think
the whole thing with the company is there's only three things that matter, whether you save time, save money, or increase profit.
Yeah.
In whatever you do, because that's all they want to hear.
excuse me, Ernie, I'm
And-
sorry to
but-
interrupt
No,
you.
no, excuse me, let me finish. That if you don't put that sort of thing in your resume, because you have your job responsibilities, which everybody has the same stupid responsibilities. The only thing that separates you are your accomplishments. And that's what Rich is telling you to do. Tell me why you kick ass, why you're good. And
Yeah.
tell me in every statement you made, don't tell me I did this. Tell me how it saved money, saved time, or increased profit as a result of you doing that act. And
Yeah,
that's,
I mean,
that's
but
what
that's
makes
all.
you
That's
good.
all. That's to get the interview. Those are the things you need to show: the who you sold, what you sold, how you did.
Yeah,
you-
but the problem
you-
is this:
and
we
you
guys are
put-
saying it from a perspective of being owners in a business.
No,
Not
no.
generally, candidates don't realize this.
No, not at all. We're saying it from a perspective of what a rep, a salesperson, or any really person, any job you do should be
Okay.
should be showing. It's
Because
not for me. It's like, but if I'm an interviewer, why do I want to interview like a salesperson's? To your point, is easy in that respect.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what good salesperson? Like I tell this to cancel all the time. If you don't put resumes in your numbers in your resume, I assume you had bad years. You know,
because it's the numbers of saving time, of doing a thing in a bullet point, an item, you write it.
Mm.
That's what they're gonna ask you, how you did that. And
Mm.
that's where the conversation comes in, and that's where you can sell yourself as a candidate. But if you just write, the regular
Yeah, but
bullshit,
Mario's placing IT people. Okay, I've always found that non-sales jobs are really hard to quantify. Okay, can you do you ask them to quantify?
Yeah,
their-
definitely. That's a selling
what-
point.
like,
We
give me
ask
an
them, what
example.
is what is your greatest accomplishment in this current role? What
Mhm.
have you done? Give me a quantifiable answer in the sense of, have you saved hours in development, or have you cleared out these many bugs against other members who have had more bugs
And
to
how
clear
do you
out?
verify something like that?
We
They
can't
could say-
verify any shit, but that's an example we can put in front of the client, right?
Okay.
and
I
then you
mean-
gotta, if there is an employee and then there are the leaders. The leaders know why they do things by saving time, saving money, and increasing profit.
Exactly. That's
And
what I said.
and if they
Ernie,
can-
we are
and if-
talking from the even see whatever you guys
No,
say.
no, if
Oh.
they put that in their resume, they're seen as a better person, a better fit for the company. If the
True.
company wants to make money.
True, but the
Who you
problem
gonna-
is
who you
most
gonna-
people
who
don't
you gonna
realize
interview
it.
first. The guy or the person for whatever job you did. Hey, we wrote this program and saved in did it in 9 months opposed to 2 years. Or we saved someone X amount of dollars because of this project we created. Or
And-
show some kind of value. No matter
And-
what
and-
job you're in, there's some
And
value.
if you want to relate that to what you're doing, you
Yeah.
put those values in there, and if you've saved 500,000 here, 300,000 there, 1,000, $1 million here, and you add it all up and it comes up to 15,000, and they're paying you 100 or 200,000, you paid for yourself,
Mhm.
and you showed them how you pay for yourself. If you don't put that in, and you want 200,000, you want 150,000, then why in the hell should I pay you?
But see, there's one more point to consider. See, you can even when you're explaining when you're creating a resume for an IT engineer, you cannot give a quantifiable number as such, but you can mention something like played a key role in developing the software for the project, blah 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 blah. You understand what I mean, right?
You can always ask the question, what did that result in?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and they explained what it resulted in, because there's a project or something you're connected in, and how much did that bring to the company?
Exactly. What projects they work on? What was the significant value of those projects?
Yeah.
You know,
Correct.
what did, again, time to budget, did it come in under budget, come in quicker than expected? If you got a history of consistently finishing your projects, at problem free and in quicker time, I mean, that's a win.
Definitely,
especially-
that's a superstar.
So, I mean, that's how every job has some kind of quantifiable value. And if it doesn't, well, now you see all the cuts, because all these people getting cut, it's because they have no value. They were redundant, useless people. Which can I tell you, at least in the tech space, I find it kind of funny. Everyone's freaking out because there's been 100,000 layoffs. There's like 100,000 tech companies out there. It's like one person per company got cut.
Rich,
Right?
the problem is this: the people who have got laid off are on pretty high salaries. Okay, and if they want to maintain a similar salary, they cannot get it now. It's not easy.
Yeah, that's for sure. But also, a lot of these people got laid off. It's because they were absolutely bad at their job. Not all. I mean, there was.
I would say
there's a percentage. I mean, listen, there's a percentage that were fantastic and got caught up, but there's the giant percentage that were just redundant and didn't have any real value.
I would say that that in the last few years it was a candidate market, and specifically in recruiters, there was a period of time where recruiters were making more and in higher demand than software engineers, which I think is the first time that's happened since I started doing this. And as a result of that, there was numerous people that started to expect and go after, higher salaries that were really inflated, really what they were versus what they should have been from a market perspective.
100%.
And as a result, that's a huge part of why there's so many people on the market that have been cut, because a lot of those big tech companies, as it scales back their business models and to make their stock prices reflect what their investors are looking for, and when the economy goes south and you're not bringing people in, it doesn't really matter. So you're not really generating revenue anymore, and then you're expendable.
Agreed, 100%.
So the biggest thing with companies is you got to realize you may get laid off, and that's a reality.
Let me ask a question about that. With those recruiters, there was that mania a year ago for hiring recruiters. And some people said, look, I'm not going to jump ship for a few dollars. I don't know what's going to happen over there. And I think they were kind of wise. It just seemed irrational that so many recruiters would be in demand all of a sudden, and then it was not going to peak at some point. So does that, it went up and boom, down. Does anyone else say that it seemed kind of weird?
But I think you look at the term recruiters, and they're not all recruiters. They call themselves recruiters, but they're not all recruiters. They're sourcers, they're this, they're that, they're coordinators to the recruiters, assistants to the recruiters. And
Ernie, they're recruiters with 1 month experience, huh?
Yeah, you're the HR administrative assistant one day, tomorrow you're the recruiter. And you're the internal recruiter, and then you get fired and you say, well, I'm a recruiter and I don't understand what's going on. And if you continually look at things, what people write, say on recruiters online, you just say, you don't know what
I don't know. I don't feel as negative about them as you do, but I have no.
No, I don't. And it's not that I'm not saying that I'm negative. What I'm saying is when they use the term recruiter.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but Amy said there's a ton of people from Amazon that are good recruiters, and she knows who's good and who isn't.
Well, Amy will say what she wants to say, but she's one person.
Let me final question, I think, today. But Elon Musk, everybody says that his slashing at Twitter has sort of energized other companies to say, I don't really need so many people either. Does anyone feel that these company managers or owners are seeing him as a model for their staffing numbers?
Say that again? What was the question?
Elon Musk, see, he cut tons of people all of a sudden, right?
Yeah.
See,
And it's been said that a lot of other people saw what he did and said, I can do the same thing. My company can run on a lot less
I think there's a
people.
lot of copycat cuts.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tax cutting, a lot of copycat cuts, and like Dave said, there was just so much fat layered into these companies. I mean, How do you cut 10,000 people, 20,000 people and not have no effect unless there was a lot of just lard.
Well,
Just
hold
lard.
on. When they cut out all the admin people and all that kind of stuff, other people get overworked. I mean, their hours like go up by 10.
But then they'll start rehiring again. Because even while they're firing these people, they're still hiring people. That's the funny thing. Most of these companies.
But so hold on, maybe it's irrational hiring. These idiots, I can't believe these guys are like that. But they say, "Hey, Elon Musk is doing this. I'm going to do it too," and it's irrational. But they think it's a trend. Go
Okay,
ahead,
See,
Ernie.
but in doing that, then they wonder why there's no loyalty to the company.
That they demand it.
Yeah.
It just people have changed.
Well, there hasn't been loyalty to a company since I think 401ks, at least in the US, came
Ages
around
ago.
since the 80s. I mean, I've worked for a handful of companies on the corporate side that actually had people that had worked there for, 30, 40, 50 plus years, 60 years in some cases. And I worked for the largest employer in the world and all the way on down to small shops and startups. And I think it boils down to, the company's what products and services and what strategies they use, and ultimately how the senior leadership is driving the company and what's important to them.
And it's also by eliminating employees, it's the quickest way to show a profit to the company.
Okay, but the thing is with recruiting, lots of times you'll call somebody and they say, "Look, I'm in the middle of a project. I can't let my team down." Okay, that people do have loyalty to the project they're on, and it's hard to, I understand that.
They
you
may
can't just say,
have loyalty to a person in the project, not the company.
okay,
Yeah, but loyalty is loyalty, whether it's, the person who's your boss is a company to you.
Yeah,
yeah.
And
that's true.
And so
And I just got a fee agreement in while we're on there. They want a 20% fee, a 6-month guarantee.
At least they didn't ask for the money back, right?
They do. They want half of it back in 6 months if someone doesn't work out. And they don't want to pay for. And my best part is they don't want to pay for 2 months either.
it's
What?
A delayed payment,
Huh.
a 6-month warranty, and money back warranty.
So you're going to sign it, right?
Of course, and send them cash. I think. I mean, there's nothing.
No, but this is becoming an issue, Rich. A lot of companies are asking for money back.
Of course.
If you don't, they're freaking crazy.
Yeah, it's stupid. I don't know why any recruiter would do it personally.
Oh hell.
Dave, you're
I got a
internal.
story
Like, what's
for you.
your thoughts on these money back?
So some of the structures I've seen and been part of, I think there should be a grace period because there are some companies, some agencies that don't do a good job. And they basically just send everybody they can find on job boards over, and they don't qualify. Basically, their value add isn't there, right? I know for sure because I was trained under similar MRI type environments, which I know you work under. So I know that you know what you're doing. But I'm saying, like, so to answer your question, the most effective way I've seen it done is they have like a sliding scale, and it changes based upon like the duration, right? So in the case of contract to hire and or search fees, if they work out after X amount of days, I think it was usually like 60 days.
So, all right, but that's like saying, all right, listen, I want the same warranty on a Mercedes as I want on my Yugo. I mean, they're just hiring bad people. They're using bad recruiters. I mean, if you're like, why would a good recruiter offer a refund because they work with some putz before? You know what I mean? It's like getting engaged and saying, hey, we got a grace period on this, right? If it doesn't work, I get the ring back and a kickback for all the money I had to pay for dinner.
True. And one more thing is, I see a lot of these HR managers are pushing for this more than even the owners of the companies.
Well, it's not. It's the vendor management arms or supplier management aspects of the businesses that are doing that. That's where a lot of that is generated or originates.
True.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's a bad trend. I mean, I get why companies want to do it. If I was hiring a recruiter, I'd ask for it too. But but you get what you pay for. Like those who don't pay engagement fees, they're going to get less attention. Those who want refunds, you're certainly not getting your best. because why do I want to risk it and tie up a good candidate when this company could just cut him because the wind blew different direction. I mean, it's like when you hire a lawyer, they want a retainer up front. Are you going to say, I'll give you 50%, I get 50% back if we lose the case? It's a bad trend, unfortunately.
And on that happy note, thank you, everybody. Take
You're
care.
a real bummer today, Rich. You're a real bummer.
Hey, tough month.
Bye
Hey, bye
bye.
bye.